All right. So anyway, it's been a crazy week for me and Mike. Anthony's here too, by the way. But my car got hit, so
Yeah.
I'm pissed off. Mike, freaking someone hit my parked car. How do you hit a parked car? What's going on, guys? This is Usayd Kosho, your host for this evening. You follow me on Twitter at Usayd Kosho. Welcome to another edition of the Giants Brawl podcast. Obviously, we're brought to you by the Brawl Network. Anthony Rivardo and Mike Trainer are in the house. You can follow Anthony on Twitter at Anthony_Rivardo. Follow Mike Trainer on Twitter at Mike Trainer MFT. Guys, what's going on?
Man, what happened to your car, man? Did ex-girlfriend slash your tires, man? What happened?
One of my coworkers did. Literally, the fucking thing was parked, and she was like pulling into the spot next to me, and she like scratched it up, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I got to deal with this shit now.
That sucks.
How's your hand doing though?
It's my forearm right here for the people
Oh.
online. 7 stitches deep. Yeah,
Yeah.
man, these people are crazy, man. Leaving broken bottles in a garbage bag for some strange reason on top of a shopping cart. Like, who does that? If this broken,
Dumbasses, dude, dumbasses. I'm serious, bro.
well, it is what it is, man. I'll be all right. As long as it ain't the face, man. This is the moneymaker right here. I can't afford to cut this thing up. Except Barkley bit my ear. People can see that. He took a little nip out of my bleeding.
Oh,
My
Barkley.
God, dude, my God.
Barkley's he's actually passed out sleeping because I got this little TED doll for the people watching online. He fucking get out of this thing, man. He humps this shit for like an hour straight, and then he passes out for like 8 hours.
Bro, well, he does that. Well, yeah, I mean, we're all stuck inside during quarantine, you know, so what are you going to do?
You gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta hump
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. All right, guys. So, Anthony, do you have anything random to rant about, or are we going to leave the ranting for the dumbass kicker?
Let's leave the ranting for the dumbass kicker.
That's perfect. All right, guys. You know, obviously, Madden 21 trailer came out. The only reason I'm bringing this up on this podcast is because Saquon was in the trailer like 5 times. My thoughts are that they're basically emphasizing like pass rushers and running backs. Like this Madden 21, if you just hand the fucking ball off, like this is your game to play. Just feed Saquon a million times. Because like they got the new like thing with the running backs. I forgot what it was, but it looks cool.
It looked like the same game to me, dude. It didn't look any different than Madden 20. I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah, well, that's EA for you. They've hit like a point
That's
where
true.
they're just like, it's like reduce, reuse, recycle at its finest. You know, same
Mhm.
concept. We're gonna make like one new tweak. What needs to happen is everyone's gotta like not buy Madden for a year, boycott it, and then just really pressure them into like making a new one. You know, a new and improved one.
It'll never happen.
Yeah,
Hey, man, I buy that shit every year, no matter how much it might suck.
yeah.
It looks like the same, but like, listen, they've been doing it for how long? Like 20-some years. It's like, basically, it's like, what can you add onto it? Like, you've pretty much done it all.
I don't know. In my Madden 20 thing, dude, I got drafted by the Dolphins, you know, and I beat the Cowboys. So we got that going for us.
There you go.
What position were you playing in the video game?
I was QB.
They made you a QB, huh?
Yeah. Well, they got like the franchise, like the my player, like NBA 2K's my player mode thing. So like I just made myself a QB, dude. Went to Clemson, won the Natty, obviously, because all good quarterbacks come from Clemson. And then yeah, into like the other shit, you know. Yeah.
I probably could like make me like a running back. I'll probably like put like the shortest guy possible, like a 4'10" stocky diesel running back, and I just run over the game, man.
Mhm.
I love that Madden feature though. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Me and Ant played a game last week after the podcast.
You
Yeah,
guys
how'd
are
that go, man? How'd that go?
Didn't go so great for me.
hold on. You guys play on Xbox, right?
Correct.
Yeah, our guy BK dude on you know, he's a Bears personality, but he's running like the Brawl Network Twitch. So, you know, he's doing like the Bears thing. We're trying to get like a Madden Xbox thing started. So you guys are definitely gonna play BK.
All right. That sounds good.
Yeah,
I just
gotta.
want everyone to know, though. Everybody has to know that I did beat Mike in Madden
All right.
last week. It was Giants versus Giants. I won. Even teams, obviously. Giants versus Giants. I got the dub. Never had any doubt. It was so easy.
I had doubt going into that game.
No, it was a close game. It was a good game. You
What was the final
surprised me. You're
score?
better than I thought.
What was the final score?
I won by like a touchdown. I think we went in overtime.
Oh, okay.
See, I was drinking though. So like, I had a lot of beers from the podcast. And
Hey, I had a lot of Dr. Peppers that night.
oh, like,
Dr. Pepper my ass, dude.
I want to use excuses, but hey, I might have thrown some stupid interceptions because it was hammered.
All right, you know, Like, moving on and whatnot, dude. There's hella NFC East news came out. Brandon Brooks from the Eagles tore his Achilles. Yeah, you never wish injury on anybody, but that's a big loss for their offensive line. Doesn't matter because Carson Wentz is like gonna take a breath and then get injured. I'm gonna shit on Eagles Brawl after this. You know, the Cowboys can't get their own heads out of their asses. They got Corona and Zeke is pissed off, but it's whatever, dude. Because like Eagles always dealing with injuries. Cowboys just can never. The only thing stopping the Cowboys from winning the Super Bowl is the Cowboys. It's the same damn theme every single year.
When was the last time they won a Super Bowl?
Before you were born, so.
Oh, well, way before I was born, probably. I don't know.
Rules that was when we had beepers. It was back in the day when people were beeping each other.
Oh, you mean like when we had Walkmans too, right?
Never seen a beeper in my life.
Oh my God! See, this is how like older. Like I'm like what 5 years older than you, Anthony. But I remember like growing up, dude. Walkmans were like these shit back in like the 2000s, and then this whole iPod generation like ruined everything.
Hey man, what's wrong with an iPod? An iPod's cool.
I mean, I have an iPhone, dude, but yeah, I remember, dude, Walkmans, right? Had like blue headphones. It was like this, like silver, like big ass, like disc tray that you just used to carry around, and sometimes it wouldn't fit in your pocket. But it was all this rage back in the day, you know.
That shit would skip. They eat your tapes. It was fucking the worst, man. So
But it was, yeah.
But Ezekiel Elliott, look at Ezekiel Elliott, man, getting that Corona, man.
Well, I heard that he went to some sort of party or get together with a few people, and I guess people are assuming that's where he got it from. Though that's probably not a fair assumption to make. You don't know where you get it from when you get it. You can just get it from anything. But I don't know. I would obviously never celebrate someone getting it, but I hope he gets well soon. But it is kind of,
well, it's
I don't know.
Not the only thing he has, and I bet my house he probably got like gonorrhea. You know what I mean? Besides the COVID. He's got a bunch of other crap in him.
Yeah, I bet you he's gonna show up to training camp like just so much weaker because of all. I'm pretty sure like because I'm not a doctor, right? But when you get sick, like you just lose like some like weight or whatever. You just feel weaker for like the week after, until you like eat, get yourself like back to full strength. Like Zeke's gonna come to camp like weak as fuck, honestly.
Well, didn't he show up fat as hell last year? So maybe now this year he'll show up in shape.
No, he's not gonna. Just watch. He's not gonna show up in shape. Okay, they're wearing his ass out, just feeding him the freaking ball, dude.
He's done.
Yeah, I don't know.
He can't last. Running backs don't last that long unless you're Barkley. Barkley can last a long time.
Saquon will just never retire. He'll play until he's 80.
Yeah, and then moving on, like obviously the Aldrick Rosas news. I'm personally pissed off. I'm pissed off at like fucking. People came at me today on Twitter for saying like, what the fuck is Joe Judge doing? Like Joe Judge has no involvement in this. Like, look, these guys have been in Zoom meetings all year, like pretty much since like February or March or whatever, right? Like you need to lay the law down because you're not dealing with like kids here. You're dealing with a young football team, but you're dealing with grown men. Like there's Rosas shit that's not Joe Judge's fault, but he's got to be more like strict in laying the law down because we're only 6 months into his tenure. But this is the second freaking time someone's gotten arrested like within the last like month or month and a half.
Godfather, I'll have to disagree with you, man.
I knew it was coming, dude. I knew it was coming. So
what can Joe Judge do, man? It's just a lot of these young athletes with a lot of money are getting bored in quarantine and acting out, I guess. That's the only thing that I can chalk it up to. And that's a stupid mistake that this guy made, but I don't see how it has anything to do with Joe Judge. Like, I get what you're saying. They're in the Zoom meetings. He's got to lay down the law. Maybe he has been laying down the law, but these guys just aren't listening because they're not there in person with him. He's in California. Joe Judge is in New Jersey. Maybe if they're all in New Jersey together where it's a contained environment, that doesn't happen. But it's not. They're all spread across the country doing their own thing and making their own decisions. Who even knows if Aldrick Rosas has been showing up to the Zoom meetings? Maybe he's been skipping them because I think a lot of them are voluntary.
No, those OTAs, like there's the mini camp's voluntary, right? I know the mini camps are voluntary. I know OTAs you gotta be in, otherwise like some teams will fine you. But my overall point is it's like this is the second like big incident that's kind of taken place, and this is honestly worse than the DeAndre Baker incident. I'll let Mike go in a second here because when you really look at it, like the Pat Leonard of New York Daily News reported that this guy had like blood or whatever on like all over his body, which is seriously concerning.
Yeah, for people that don't know the story, he was driving drunk. It was 8:30 in the morning for some crazy reason. Like, why are you hammered at 8:30 in the morning? Usually, I have my bowl of cereal. I'm trying to sober up from the previous night. I'm not still drinking like a maniac. He T-boned the car. He, his truck broke down a little while after that. He started running. He had no shoes on. He had blood over his hands, his feet, like he committed a murder. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, what the fuck? It just, what the fuck? When Ant sent us the tweet in the DMs, I was like, this can't be real. Like, this can't be fucking real, man. Why is this happening to us? I mean, thank God it's just a fucking kicker. You know what I mean?
Okay, I'll say this, right? Like you mentioned, like thank God it's just a kicker. Thank goodness it is just a kicker because it could have been a player like far more important on this team. But like you don't know, like people, right? The issue is they like don't know the value of having a good kicker, a good consistent one that's here year after year until like your team doesn't have one. Like this team, and I mentioned this to Mike before the pod, like this team went to 2 Super Bowls, right? Like because of Lawrence Tynes and the consistently like how consistently good he was. So like if they have to go through a freaking kicking carousel with like fucking training camp almost a month away at this point. I kind of an issue for me. The reason being is because like this is the type of team in 2020. They have the potential where like a missed field goal here and there can seriously be the difference between like a win and a loss.
Great point.
I bet you Saquon Barkley can kick field goals. He's got those giant tree trunk legs. I bet you he can boot a ball like 60 yards.
Yeah, well, you can't have him do everything. That's the issue, because then you're
Well, why
going to wear
not?
him down in
You
the
save
long
money.
run.
Save money.
Where would you save money? Because he's probably going to command more and be like, yo,
you don't have to pay a kicker. You just let him kick.
Right.
Yeah, you got to pay him more for his kicking services too then.
He's gonna all that money. You might as well have him do everything. I want him throwing the halfback passes like Ant did to me in the video game, which I still don't know how to do. Like he was throwing dimes, like he's Daniel Jones and Eli Manning combined.
Saquon throws dimes.
I'm so frustrated.
But it was weird because like 2 hours before we jumped onto this thing, like the Giants fans in Brazil who apparently listen to us, they were like talking.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you guys. People from Brazil listening to our podcast. I think that's like the coolest thing. So I appreciate the support, guys. Thank you.
I appreciate your women. They're all every single one Brazilian girl I ever met in my life was absolutely stunning.
I'll second that. I know this one Brazilian girl who is really, really beautiful. So I'll second that.
All right. But yeah, staying on track here, dude. It's just like super whatever, right? But anyway, staying on track here, like it's super interesting because they started a rumor and they tagged us in anything. Because the account had like 50 notifications before Anthony started to beef with Cowboys Brawl, where apparently the Giants have signed like Cairo Santos. There's honestly no truth to that rumor. I don't know where the hell they got it from. They're all talking in like Portuguese, so I don't know what they're saying, and I'm too lazy to copy paste this shit into Google Translate. So yeah, if they seriously signed a kicker like within the next few days, it's just giving me the indication that Rosas is 100% done.
Oh, of course, but I don't think they would do that right away. I think they would wait till everything folds out with the legal process before they make a move like that. I would think, because there's plenty of kickers out there. I mean, the Gokowski's out there. He knows New England well. He could come down south a little bit, play for us. There's definitely options.
You guys can take Cody Parkey, dude. I'm serious.
Hey, listen.
Hey, I'd welcome him with open arms. That's a Jupiter Warrior right there.
Let's get him to rejuvenate his career, man. We believe in him.
I believe in Cody Parkey.
That football was tipped. It was just a great defensive play. That's all it was.
That's true.
Well, he missed 11 kicks early.
Yeah.
Fuck Cody Parkey. Shut up, Anthony.
Also,
You can
I'll
shit
throw
on
out.
your high school alum, okay? I
I
shit
actually
on
hated
Clinton.
my high school, so I don't even care
Everyone
at all.
hated high school. Are you
Yeah,
kidding me,
right.
dude? At my high school graduation, I was sitting around like all these people, and I straight up said, like, yo, I'm glad I'm never gonna have to see you again. Like I said that to their faces. Because when I was like 18, like I was the asshole, okay?
Oh, of
Oh,
course, of course.
what you guys saw. High school is so much fun, man.
High school sucked.
Oh my god.
Well, I went to two high schools, and I was only at each of them for 2 years, and then it was just so it was tough to like find a group. But besides that, let's get back to the kickers. You mentioned Steven Gostkowski. I also want to mention the connection that him and Joe Judge have. Gostkowski was a kicker for the Patriots since 2006. Joe Judge worked with the Patriots from I think 2008 and on. So they definitely know each other really well. So if there's any interest there, I expect that signing to happen because Gostkowski was so great for so many years with the Patriots. And now Joe Judge is coming over here, so familiar with how the New England Patriots do things. That would make a lot of sense to me if they make that signing. But Gostkowski is a little bit old, and he did get hurt last year, so I understand why they wouldn't make the signing at the same time. But then again, there's another player who's a free agent kicker that played for the Patriots last year, so they know Joe Judge. Nick Folk, he played in the last 7 games of the season, or he played 7 games with the Patriots last year, 8 if you include the playoffs. He made his last 8 field goals straight. He didn't miss one. He missed, I think, 3 field goals last season, but he made all the other ones. So he had a really good, solid 7 games there, and he knows Joe Judge. So I wouldn't be surprised if Judge gives him the call too.
Is Goskowski, do you guys know, is he healthy now?
I think so. He had hip surgery last year, so that might be tough to recover from as a kicker. But that was almost a full year ago at this point, and he did play the first 4 games of the season. So I don't know. I don't know how severe that was, but I would assume by now he's healthy. But I should probably check on that.
But to sign a kicker, you got to get him on the field.
Right.
You can't have him kick in a fucking Zoom meeting, right? I mean,
Right.
and maybe you just bring your phone out to like the field and have him kick.
Well, that's the problem is they got to work them out. But the thing with Gostkowski and Nick Folk is Joe Judge already knows them. So I would think that they have a bit of an advantage over any other kicker because Joe Judge has a familiarity and knows what he's getting, and he might not necessarily have to bring them in and work them out in person in order to make that signing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and I totally forgot. Like Joe Judge has like kind of that, like, what is it, a special teams background, you know?
Yep.
So like if they have to replace Rosas, and I'm glad you brought these connections up, Anthony. Like I don't think it's gonna be a major issue, but still, like to have a good kicker, still a really freaking rare commodity. Like a good kicker like Greg Zuerlein can send your team to the Super Bowl, or like Lawrence Tynes, a bad one can get your team out of the playoffs. But the point is don't underestimate the kicker position, people.
Podfather, you mentioned Greg Zuerlein, right?
Yeah.
Fuck that dude. Because remember in the Super Bowl, he came out, ran on the field to try to kick that field goal, and then he just totally missed it wide left.
Yeah.
I would have won $100,000, $100,000 on that.
Jeez.
Fuck Greg. Fuck him. All
And
right,
fuck him double because he's a Cowboy now. He's on the Cowboys.
Oh yeah, I forgot, dude.
I forgot about that.
So fuck him triple.
I hope he gets them. I hope Ezekiel Elliott gives him the virus. But I hope they're okay, though. I hope everybody's okay.
Okay, this episode's name is going to be Unfiltered Part 2 because that's pretty much what it's been because Mike's fucking on my car and then obviously just random shit. But, yo, moving on, like, former Giants offensive linemen. So, Chris Snee and Sean O'Hara are, like, praising Mark Colombo. Yeah, honestly, dude, like, I'm not surprised that these guys praise Mark Colombo because this was a guy, like, he was, you know, playing here in Chicago for a couple of years, like, fucked his knee up. Goes to, I think, Miami. Has a solid career there, and then right out of the gates, like in 2016, when he retired, he was offensive line coach for Dallas. Like, you don't see a lot of players like make like that transition from like player to like just being a like an offensive line coach real quick. You don't see that, so like this is really like hiring him is one of the more underrated moves of the offseason.
It's one of my favorite moves they made. I thought it was phenomenal, and one of the things I really love about him is he did spend 10 years in the NFL as a player. And Nick Gates recently stated that he loves the fact that Mark Colombo was formerly a player. He said that they've already been able to develop a connection because of that. And, when you look at Mark Colombo, the Dallas Cowboys offensive line, I know he was the offensive line assistant for most of the time that he was there, and eventually became the offensive line coach. But all of the Cowboys players rant and rave about Mark Colombo. They all loved him. They thought he was phenomenal. So I'm really excited about that. I think he's going to be a ginormous improvement over Hal Hunter. Don't even get me started on Hal Hunter. I hated that hiring, but I love this one, and I'm really excited about it.
Some guys, like some ex-players, like they have it physically, but not all of them have it mentally. And it sounds like Colombo has had it mentally, and he's able to translate that to the current players. And he had success in Dallas, and I think he's going to have great success with the players we have in the Giant Stadium.
Yeah, you honestly though, like you just got to give it time because, like, keep in mind, I mean, that Dallas offensive line was, one of the best in the NFL for so many years, but it took time to whatever, Mike, but it took time to dude, it took time to develop those guys, right? And get like Travis Frederick and Zach Martin and these guys to where they were. So like, you just got to give it like time with the Giants too, And I know, Anthony, you mentioned Nick Gates. Nick Gates is someone Anthony mentioned back in like December as a possible hidden gem. And now he's working out with Derek Carr and Will Hernandez in Las Vegas. So like, I don't know, maybe Derek Carr is gonna come here in like 2021 and be Daniel Jones' backup. Or okay, number one, dude, Gruden is there for like 8 more years, and friggin' Carr is there for like pretty much 2021, and that's it, right? But, like, Nick Gates is working out. I think, like, he is going to be – like, he might just end up being the surprise day one starter.
I really think there's a good chance he becomes a starting center. He's out there practicing his snapping. That's really important. He's someone that I thought really has a good shot at getting that center position, even though he's never played the position. So now it's really encouraging seeing that he's already practicing for the position. But when he played right guard and right tackle in those limited reps that he did with the Giants last year, I thought he played really, really good. He really impressed me, and he really excited me. I think he's got a future in this league, whether it be at right tackle or at center. I think that he really has the ability to win that job day one, like you mentioned, Podfather. And I think it's a really great step seeing him practice his snapping out in Las Vegas and also practicing with Will Hernandez. He's also getting some work in. He's someone who kind of regressed last year. We need to see him bounce back this year. Really exciting stuff. Happy to see the offensive line training hard, trying to get on track this year.
Absolutely, man. Nick Gates at center, practicing with Will Hernandez. They got to communicate, with each other. So that's his boy right next to him. I'm telling you, Gates is going to be the starting center. And if something happens, God forbid, a guy Evan goes down with an injury or, our other tackle goes down with an injury, Gates could slide there, and then maybe we put in, Pulley or John to sub for a week or two in case somebody gets banged up. So I like our options there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the biggest. So we talked about the versatility on this offensive line last week. I think the big thing to keep in mind is the most versatile player on this line just might be Nick Gates, because you can put him at center. He can also play right guard, although that's probably going to be anchored down by Zeitler. But you never know, if Zeitler gets hurt, you could slide Nick Gates to right guard. You could even argue that he could play right tackle. So this is a guy this is basically 3-in-1. And I think he's just I praise him tons, but he's super underrated. Working out Derek Carr, he's gonna get the timing right of what to expect, just from starting quarterback, etc. Obviously, Will Hernandez is the face of this offensive line right now. Until Andrew Thomas takes that over, Andrew Thomas is gonna take that over. Just watch. But Will Hernandez brings the nasty mindset you need to play offensive lineman in the NFL. He needs to drill that into Nick Gates, and then things are gonna take off.
Podfather, we always find a gem, man. We always find one gem on the offensive line that comes out of nowhere. And I think Gates is that guy. And we've been saying it for how many months now? We said
That's
it.
True.
We said it for 3-4 months since we started this, So,
bro, if you think of it, right, every single okay, so this thing started in October, right? And Andy and I took over in November, and pretty much every single thing we've said has come true. Andy and I got matching cups today, dude.
Nice.
the hot pink cups.
No, mine is
This is red.
mine is I got the fluorescent lights, but mine is a red Starbucks color changing cup.
That does look pink.
Not
Yeah,
what I see 2 pink cups.
Whatever. I'll send you a picture in the group convo afterwards. So I snagged a box of those, for like $14 after my employee discount. All the
Nice.
fucking white moms in the area keep calling about it. I'm like, we don't have them anymore. Like, go to fucking Walmart and buy them or some shit. I don't know.
Okay,
Don't bother your local Starbucks.
Damn.
the Karen
Okay.
trying to get those cups from you.
The Karens.
Yeah, that's literally the term, dude. All right, so okay, we've been previewing like other positions each week, super in depth. What did we do last week? Center, right? We argued. Well, we had JQ on. We fucking argued about the randomness of stuff. Now looking
Well, I
at
think on that episode we said Nick Gates is going to be the pick at center, and then this week I think he went out and he kind of started to prove our point.
yeah, so looking at it now, like state of the position. Let's preview defensive line, guys. Obviously, this right now. So Anthony, I'll start with you because you're gonna tell like who was picked where. What do you think of the defensive line?
You want me to say who was picked where? I can do it off the top of my head.
No,
I've
just
written
go into the
so many
preview,
articles
dude.
about it. Well, I'll say the Giants haven't. I'll say where they were picked because it's important. The Giants have invested a lot into this defensive line. They obviously invested a 3rd and 5th round pick into Leonard Williams, which was plus the franchise tag, which was highly controversial. A 1st round pick into Dexter Lawrence, a 2nd round pick into Dalvin Tomlinson, a 3rd round pick into BJ Hill, and 2 7th round picks into RJ McIntosh and Chris Slayton. Plus, they also signed Austin, I believe his first name was Johnson, in free agency this offseason. They've invested a lot into that unit, and it's paid off. I'll actually admit that this is the unit where it has paid off their investments. This is the strongest unit on the team. The defensive line really is honestly close to amazing. I think that it has a potential to be one of the best in the league. Dalvin Tomlinson really came into his own last year, became a really consistent, solid player. Leonard Williams, he may not have shown up too much in the box score, but he really made a difference being on that defense. Whether he was just taking double teams and opening lanes for other pass rushers or what, Dalvin Tomlinson's stats doubled after Leonard Williams was traded for. So he had a significant impact on that defensive line, whether people realize it or not. And then Dexter Lawrence, we know he has a ton of potential. The biggest hog molly I've ever seen in my life. That man is a mammoth. I love him. He's awesome. And he can even rush the passer a little bit. This is by far the best positional unit on the team, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't say any better than that, Ant. We got guys that are playing defensive line that a lot of times they don't get credit because they don't show up in the stats, like with sacks and everything. But like we got talent there, and we got backups that can play. I mean, Dexter Lawrence is the one guy I'm looking to make that huge leap where you might actually see him, like, no joke, dominate, because he's got talent up the ass, man. He can really do that fucking job, man. Watch Dexter Lawrence, man. We might have to be getting jerseys for that guy.
So like
Maybe.
you guys mentioned like, Dexter Lawrence. Anthony just went on a thing about the whole thing. There's 2 things I want to focus on with my analysis of the defensive line. 3 things really. Number 1, like you look at Dave Gettleman in Carolina, his team was always built from like defensive line up, on the defensive side of the ball. They just got to hope that the linebackers here's what's going to happen, right? These defensive linemen are going to eat up these big gaps. Eventually what that will do is allow like the linebackers and the rest of the secondary to kind of roam and play freely, right? Because that's the way these defenses are being structured now. Number 2, when you look at like the defensive coordinator, Patrick Graham, like this is a guy, he's had experience working like with guys like Vince Wilfork, Rob Ninkovich, Jamie Collins, all people that like, I know some of these guys weren't like household names, but they were developed properly and they fit into the defense that like Graham is trying to build here. So I think like Graham's experience working with some of these defensive guys, like people aren't talking enough about that, and it needs to be talked about like even more because he knows how to develop players. And I just mentioned Vince Wilfork. I want to mention Leonard Williams. I think like Leonard Williams right now, like people are still pissed off about the trade. I'm past the trade at this point. I don't care about the 3rd and the 5th round pick. I think when you look at Leonard Williams, like that 2015 draft was a good one for defensive tackles or like just defensive linemen and pass rushers in general, right? Leonard Williams, this dude is talented. He's just been screwed over the first 5.5 years of his like career by a shitty situation with the Jets. This is the first time he's walking into what's expected to be like a stable situation. So I think he can be someone that really breaks out in 2020 and realizes his potential. And if you were to tell me like, yo, if he reaches like double-digit sacks, say, right? Honestly, I would not shut the fuck up, Siri. If he reaches double-digit sacks, the conclusion will be, yo, they just traded a 3rd and a 5th round pick for a guy that was selected 8th overall in his draft class or like 6th overall.
Dude, you're 100% right, man. Fuck, first of all, fuck Siri. You're absolutely right about that. She always never understands me. And you're absolutely right. Leonard Williams, dude, I think, like, he could have a monster year because, like, playing with the Jets, you're just, like, your energy gets sucked out because you're playing in the right building, but for the wrong team. So, like, your quality of play just diminishes.
So it's not even that, right? It's just like the Jets have been, bro. The Jets have just been so like the Jets are basically like the Browns of the AFs. Like they're the Browns 2.0 is what they are. They've just been too dysfunctional. They don't know how to like develop talent and whatnot. They've drafted smart over the last couple of years, but they draft, but then they don't know how to develop these guys. Like, so this is like Leonard Williams, and I'm probably the only person in the Giants like fan base that's saying that. This is the first time Williams has had like a stable situation. And obviously, like Patrick Graham, the guys that he's developed, I think it could pay off big time for Williams.
He might get a long-term contract after this year.
He's gonna have to if he takes off, right, that's gonna be priority number 1 in 2021 is get him a big contract and then obviously decide between Ingram, Jabril Peppers, then get Jamar Chase or Dylan Moses or Micah Parsons in the draft.
Alert, alert. You heard it here first, okay? This is going to come true. Leonard Williams is going to get like a 10-year contract.
Alert, alert. This is going to come true because I said so. Jamar Chase is going to be a New York Giant. I really pray and hope.
We shall see.
Oh, my God. Wouldn't that be amazing, man? Jamar Chase and the Giants uniform.
Yeah, but like, okay, so back to the defensive line, dude. Like, overall, there's a lot of talent here. So I think for me, this is just like a boom or bust type group. I seriously think, though, if Graham develops these guys the right way, if these guys do their homework, because like the coaches can only teach you so much. You got to show up to the meetings and be watching film, right? In order for like the players to be developed, like in order for your own career to take off, right? So like these guys got to do their homework too. They can't be lazy and they can't slack.
Otherwise, cut them.
Exactly.
No more slackers. Joe Judge, please do not put up with slackers.
Yeah, don't put up with that bullshit. Get him out of here.
Yeah, then you might if those attitude problems with DeAndre Baker are true, like I would cut his ass in a heartbeat. Because like I don't want like I'm trying to like if I'm in Joe Judge's chair, right? I'm trying to build this thing up the right way. I don't want people that are just gonna be half-assing and setting a bad example for some of like the other guys in the room.
That's how it was with our offensive line with Flowers and Bobby Hart. They were leaving early. They were joking around. It didn't seem like they cared so much, and Eli Manning because of that. So, yeah, you got to get these guys out of here real quick. If our coaching staff is legit and they know what they're talking about, get these players that don't fit out of here immediately. Don't waste any time. Get guys in here that want to be here. That's it.
I agree.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Fuck them.
So it's going to be like, the defense. I think the defensive line we're going to see is different each week just because Graham has said, like, I'm going to change the defense up each week. It's going to be like the same system. Basically, it's going to be the same freaking system. It's just going to have, like, tinier, like, small modifications here and there. So I think, like, 1 week we see, like, a 3-4, which would be 3 down linemen, 4 linebackers. Although, like, the Giants don't have the best linebacker core in the NFL, so I would prefer that they ran a 4-3 with, like, Williams and Dexter Lawrence occupying the middle of the defensive line, because then that will allow, like, the rest of the defense to just do its thing.
At least they'll have a game plan this time around. I don't think Schumer had, like, so many game plans going into each opponent. so much in detail. I think the game plan was just pretty much like all season instead of week to week. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that's kind of like the thing I got with him.
That's what I think. I think he had a scheme, and he forced players to try and fit into a scheme, and he ran that scheme every week, and there was no versatility or diversity in his play calling and scheme. And I thought that was probably his biggest flaw. He was very mundane, very repetitive.
Seemed that way, yep. At least he's not here anymore.
Thank God. But you know what? Even more than that, I'm going to get into it. Thank God Hal Hunter's not here. 66 sacks allowed by the Cleveland Browns in 2016. He doesn't even have a job in 2017. Pat Shurmur hires him in 2018. How does that happen? How is that allowed to happen? He was so bad. His offensive line gave up 66 sacks. He got fired, spent a year away from the sport, and then Pat Shurmur hires him to be the offensive line coach for one of the worst offensive lines in the league. How does that happen? It pisses me off beyond belief. Thank God we have Mark Colombo now.
It didn't make any sense. It's like, going to the grocery store, you got a bagger, right? A bagger. They put the eggs on the bottom and they put the gallons of milk on top and it crushes your eggs. The same guy does that over again. He does it next week. And you still hire that same bagger thinking he's going to get it right. But he never does. He's still going to put the eggs on the bottom of the bag and put the milk on top. And so to crush your eggs.
I think
Get him out of here. What was the point of that hire? I don't get that either, Ant.
I think what it was number one, like Hunter and Shurmur worked together in Cleveland, like back in the beginning of 2010. So obviously, like the familiarity, because that's all these guys do, right? As old white guys, you're just gonna hire like people that they've worked with or people that they
Right.
know, like through the channels, But also, like, keep in mind, that 2018 offseason was unique because like the Giants were one of the. You're cracking open the Corona, Anthony. Nice.
No, I'm drinking a Dr. Pepper.
Shut up. But I was gonna okay, so here's the thing, right? When you look at like that 2018 offseason, like you had Matt Nagy and then like Josh McDaniels, like a lot of these guys get hired like within whatever the first like 7, 8, 9 days. The Giants didn't hire Shurmur until later that month because they were also looking for a GM. So like that's why they got stuck with like a crappy coach and everything,
Yeah, dude, I forgot all about that, man. You're right, man. They were on like a fucking long delay, man. They lost out on a lot of opportunity right
Like
there.
it's just how it is, right? The quality coaches you can expect to get hired within like the first like week and a half, 2 weeks. If you wait after that, you basically like missed your turn to get someone.
Well, who else was hired that offseason? I know I wanted them that offseason to hire Josh McDaniels. I obviously was wrong about that one because he ended up lying to the Colts and then leaving them in the dark. But they were better off because they got Frank Reich, who's like, I think he's a borderline elite coach at this point. But
Bro, so if I remember correctly, right? So you had like, okay, so Nagy was the first guy hired here in Chicago. And then I know McDaniels got hired, but he obviously backed out with the Colts. And then friggin', let's see. I know, okay, Shurmur was obviously hired. You mentioned Frank Reich. That was an interesting year for coaches in general, because it was kind of the year where like tons of like there was a good quarterback class coming up and a lot of like, rookie, like a lot of like offensive assistants were on the rise. So
It could have changed the whole Giants draft too, man. If we don't go get him in and Schumer, maybe they go quarterback during that time and change their whole way of, where the franchise was going. I'm like, who the fuck knows, man? Maybe because they delayed their feet, it changed situations. I know, Will Receipts, he don't want. I read his Twitter all the time. He hates that they drafted Barkley in that draft. I loved the move, but maybe they go another direction during that time. Who the hell knows, man? You can't turn the page. You just got to kind of like look forward and see where we go from here.
it's true. And as annoying as, past mistakes can be, they're past mistakes. You can't go back. There's no do-overs. So we just have to move on. Like, I agree with Will Receipts to an extent, not completely, but I do agree, like, number 2 overall, they probably should have traded down, but they didn't. So it is what it is. I'm just going to root for Saquon Barkley because the dude's a generational talent. He's awesome. So We just got to start looking to the future at this point. And thankfully, it seems like the Giants really do have a bright future ahead with Daniel Jones and Joe Judge and Jason Garrett and Mark Colombo, Nick Gates, Andrew Thomas. I can go on and on. There's a lot of young talent and a lot of great coaches on the staff. Gives us a bright future.
I will say this because, like, I think Will listens to the pod, right? But, like, overall, when you look at it, like, I was not a fan of them drafting Saquon in second overall just because I saw, like, Quentin Nelson, Bradley Chubb, or quarterback, and I would have easily wanted, like, in terms of, like, longevity and who can help, like, your team out in the long run, I thought, like, pass rusher, a rock for your offensive lineman, or a quarterback, like, would have made the difference. But, like, so big deal. We got Saquon now. He's
Danny
essentially,
Dimes.
yeah. So, like, he's here. Like, if you think of it, the biggest beneficiary of of having Saquon on the offense is going to be Danny Dimes because he's going to take the pressure off. A lot of teams have to have, like, the Thunder and Lightning type running back. Like the Saints had Ingram and Kamara for a couple years. Like Saquon's basically like Ingram and Kamara mixed together, but like on a whole nother level. Like he's just a do-it-all type guy. I don't need to explain this. If you're listening to this, you should know. Otherwise, you got to reevaluate your Giants fandom because you don't know your players that well. But yeah, Saquon's superhuman, so like I'm fine with it. You just got to move forward and build around with what you have now.
It was tough, like, because the owner, like, the pressure of the owner saying, hey, Eli Manning, maybe he's got 2 more years. Let's get him a great running back because the opportunity is right here in front of us. Let's see, what we could do. Maybe we could go on, like, a little, like, streak and get Eli Manning to the playoffs before he retires. I think that had a lot to do with them making that pick because they wanted to see what the Giants had left.
But, like,
didn't work out. But you know what? That's the way it is in the NFL.
But, like, that's a horseshit move by the owners to think that way because, like, honestly, that, like, I understand the mindset, but, like, at the same time, I mean, that, like, 2018 team, even before Saquon got here, had, like, a lot of, like, red flags and concerns.
Well, let's not forget 3-13 in 2017.
Exactly. And then, so the overall thing is that team just had too many holes. I get they had, like, Odell and Landon Collins, Eli, but still too many, like, holes and whatnot for, like, you to justify, well, they can easily win the NFC East, even though the freaking division's just a toss-up.
But
the best way to put it is they weren't one player away from making the playoffs. But Saquon Barkley is a draft pick as if you were one player away from making the playoffs. But we weren't. We had holes all over the team, and somehow we failed to recognize it.
Well, that's the problem with not drafting well years and years previous to that, and we suffered because of it. But again, we had the opportunity to draft the greatest running back in probably this next 10 years. We had that opportunity to get him, and we got him. So maybe that makes a difference from going from now in the future. You know what I mean? We got to look at it that way too.
I will say this because I've vented about Jerry Reese's, like, shit draft classes all the time. There is nobody that got the short end of the stick more than Eli did because that shit drafting, like, you could see, dude, just caught up to him. And, like, I get annoyed at, like, Giants fans for the way that they act regarding Eli and, like, the Giants ownership. Like, yeah, I get the dude won 2 Super Bowls, etc. But you really think of it, dude, they failed him so much, but people still will come out and be like, oh, whatever, like, ownership and front office and Jerry Reese and McAdoo, everything that they did was, like, completely okay.
Yeah, you're right, man. It didn't make any sense with that, with that aspect. I would have liked to see Eli, like, I think we mentioned on the podcast before, to get the guys, like, in the right place and, to make the right draft picks. We didn't support him. I mean, 2011, to be honest, that Super Bowl was kind of a fluke in my eyes because we were so bad. Like, we were last in, like, everything, it seems. But Eli Manning had, like, 16 game-winning comebacks to win games. Like, he was on fire, man. He literally got us.
Carried the team
And got us to the Super Bowl. If it wasn't for him, we'd have absolutely no shot. I don't think people realize how dominant Eli was. I mean, to come with all those game-winning drives on a shit defense, on a shit offense, I mean, Eli made plays consistently, man. It was just, I mean, I don't know. It's so frustrating for people not to see that.
It's true. He came from behind for a victory against the Patriots that season in the regular season. He did it against the 49ers in the postseason, the Cardinals in the regular season, the Dolphins in the regular season. And I'm forgetting at least 4 other come from behind victories because I can't list them all. I can't remember all of them, but I'm sure, Mike, you throw out one of the games from that season, he probably came from behind for a win in that game. He was unstoppable in the fourth quarter.
About the playoffs against Green Bay? Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers, they were like 15-1, right?
Well, that wasn't
Yeah.
come from behind, but yeah, they were 15-1, and he just lit them up and blew them out.
Dude, it was like in Green Bay, right?
In Green Bay.
I mean, dude, they were 15-1. They were dominant. I thought for sure Green Bay was going to win the whole thing. I was like, Giants had to go play Green Bay. I'm like, oh shit, this is going to be fucking tough. And dude,
not for Eli.
Eli was like literally, he was rolling out the pocket. He was moving the pocket, manipulating the pocket. He was making plays. I mean,
You know what the best
Such a legend.
Bro, the best part about that divisional game in Green Bay was like he basically lit he shut the whole stadium up, he lit the Packers up, lit everyone up, and then after that acted like nothing special just happened.
yes,
Classic Eli.
That is and let me just say this for the record, right? Going back to my original point, like this guy, right? Like I don't know what football you Giants fans were watching after the second Super Bowl run that you were sitting there and like supporting the owners and the coaches and like the shit front office, because like this dude carried your sucker of a franchise, your trash franchise throughout some of the worst times. And now like you're going to go and you're going to support owners, and some people came at me, dude, and were like, yo, Eli's just straight up trash. Like these are Giants fans. Like I don't know what football y'all worthless ass people were watching back then that you're saying this, dude.
they're not Giant fans.
They're fake. They're Fugazi.
Whatever, dude. This is why I get so annoyed, because like I support Eli, but I will not like stand for Jerry Reese or the Mara family like screwing him over the way he did. Because if you were to honestly tell me like, oh, this guy was the starting quarterback from 2004 to 2019 for 16 years, I would have assumed like if I was not like if you never knew anything about the NFL, I would assume, oh, these guys and they won 2 Super Bowls in between. I would be like, oh, so they made the playoffs like year in and year out. Like he made the playoffs 6 times in 16 years. Contrast that to Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees and like Brett Favre, even Ben Roethlisberger. Those guys were in the playoffs year in and year out because their franchises did not screw them over. I mean, Rodgers, dude, his teams, the Packers have screwed him over the last couple of years, but like
But throughout his whole career, they always had a great defense. Like for so long, they had a great defense, and they also had great playmakers throughout most of his career. With Donald Driver and that other receiver that they had, who was excellent. He had a good supporting cast around him most of the time he was with the Packers, but in recent years, they've started to fail him.
No, I will say, dude, after that like Super Bowl run in 2011 that Green Bay had, the defense was always like just mediocre, or just like Rodgers kept that team in games as like the talent from that first thing like drained. But even him, right, like they're doing him a disservice because like they could have invested in wide receivers, but like he has no one legitimate to throw to beyond Devontae Adams. But the point is, like, kind of like Eli, right, didn't really have anyone. Like, if you really think of it, like, Eli had, like, Hakeem Nicks and Victor Cruz and Mario Manningham. Like, these guys were all great, but there was never, like, the consistent, like, Antonio Brown for, like, Ben Roethlisberger, the consistent, like, number one guy. And obviously, like, I don't count Odell because, like, he was only here for, like, 4 or 5 years, so.
Dude, you're 100% right. He never had that. Never had that. I mean, he had that for a couple of years with, like you said, Manningham and Nicks and stuff. They were great because I seen plays with, you know, Nicks, especially Nicks, making plays after the catch. Like, he would catch balls and he would just go the distance, man. And, man, they neglected him, man. They neglected Eli, sure, a big time, man.
I miss it, man. I miss seeing Nicks, Cruz, and Manningham. Those were the glory days.
Sure was.
I swear, dude, I don't think there's any like giant spies. We begin to wrap up here, but I do not think there's a single giant spot out there that like vents and is just on as unfiltered as we are, because we're
Nope.
not afraid to tell you how it is, dude.
We tell it how it is. Unfiltered every week. We tell it how it is.
I go. You damn right, Ed, because I don't shut the fuck. When I go, I go. I could have.
You go.
Well, and so kind of just like, yo, getting into the present day here, like this is my biggest fear with Daniel Jones is that like as long as the same people own the team, you know, they're just going to continue to stand for this mediocrity and be like, all right, so we got, you know, our franchise quarterback, we got a couple pieces here and there like Slayton and Saquon, etc. You know, a couple guys on defense, that's it, we're set. Like, no, you need a well-rounded roster, and ownership got to like, you know, give up some money in like free agency and in terms of like draft capital to be able to like build that, you know.
Let's hopefully they do the right thing.
They're not gonna do that. Just watch, dude. I'm already telling you right now, they're not gonna do the right thing.
I mean, listen, I love Gettleman, so I'm hoping he does the right thing.
Guess we'll wait and see, man. I hope so too.
Yeah, it's gonna be whatever it is, honestly. Like this third draft class, I thought really was like, because typically I think like it takes 3 draft classes for you to lay the foundation. So Gettleman's been here 2018 and 2019. This 2020 draft class was kind of really like the icing on the cake. Like this is your foundation for the next like 5 years at least, and these are going to be the guys that are either going to be here, help propel your team into the 2020s, or they're going to be the ones who just completely fail.
Let's hopefully he got it right.
Sure hope so, man. I think he did, though. I really loved this 2020 draft class. I thought he did an excellent job.
A lot of people did.
It became Anthony's favorite the moment Matt Parrott was announced.
That's true. That's true. I love Matt Parrott, dude. Because I released a mock draft on my Twitter the day before the draft, and I had Matt Parrott at 99. And I'll never forget this memory of waking up in the morning like, tonight's the draft, Mom. You gonna watch it? You excited? And then she's like, yeah. Or the day of day 2 of the draft. I'm like, yeah, they had a great draft last night. Let's see what they do tonight. And I said to her, there's this guy out of UConn who I really want them to draft in the 3rd round. I know. And she was like, UConn? What football player comes out of UConn? I'm like, I know it's UConn, but this guy is awesome. I really hope they draft him. And then when they did, I ran out of my room and I was like, Mom, they actually drafted that guy from UConn. I called it. And she was like, whoa, you were just talking about that. I was like, I know. And we were so excited about it. And, I just think the kid is going to be a stud. I don't think he's going to be ready day 1, but give him a year, maybe 2. Instant starter. He's going to be great.
You got to get his jersey, Ant. You got to get it.
I do. I have to get a Matt Parrott jersey.
I will say my personal like favorite pick from this 2020 draft class was Xavier McKinney, because like I love Alabama safeties. You look at the safeties that Alabama sent over the last like 6-7 years. Like you have Landon Collins, who obviously was a box safety, but like the interchangeable safeties, like you have Minkah Fitzpatrick, Minkah Fitzpatrick, dude, Eddie Jackson. Those are like the 2 best ones to come out. Obviously, I think Tony Jefferson came out of Alabama. Also, HaHa Clinton-Dix as well. I know, like, HaHa Clinton-Dix too. Like, so these, like, Alabama safeties that are coming out, like, they are really solid. That's why I'm excited to see what McKinney can do. Because, like, you could put him at strong safety or you could put him at free safety. He's a better fit at free safety, honestly. You just got to make Jabril a box safety at this point.
With Xavier, you can put on free safety, strong safety, slot, outside cornerback, linebacker. The dude can play it all. He even played a little bit of edge in college, so I'm really excited.
McKinney, he's going to be the best safety out of everybody you just mentioned. Podfather.
He's got like time. I think he can be like I think he will be, dude, throughout his career, but like he's still got some time before he catches up to like Minkah and Eddie Jackson, because like Jackson took some time to develop. Minkah was the one though that had like what do you call it? Minkah took off like almost immediately after he got into a stable situation. So more of the story is that situation matters. If Graham develops McKinney correctly, like he's gonna take off, I think, like faster than I'm gonna expect to. But yeah, I have high hopes for McKinney. I think he'll be the face of his defense. If it ain't Leonard Williams, it's gonna be Xavier McKinney.
Well, hey, Patrick Graham loves to blitz and loves to play man coverage. And in college, 21 out of 71 pass rushing snaps, Xavier McKinney recorded a pressure. The dude knows how to blitz. He's great at blitzing, and he's great at man coverage. Perfect fit in Patrick Graham's scheme. It was a hell of a draft pick. He's going to be great in the pros, no doubt about it.
I like that. Definitely make up for that Clemson guy I wanted. I won't mention his name.
Clemson guy, whatever, dude. This team has the foundation. All right, guys, it's like 9 o'clock my time. It's 10 o'clock your time. So obviously, guys, thanks for tuning in. We really hope you guys enjoyed the new intro music. Sorry if the pod got a little bit boring, but like, yeah, everyone's super freaking tired. And obviously, my car being hit is not ideal. So I got to get this shit figured out. I made like 50 phone calls today, for real, though.
Well, hopefully you get it fixed, man. I'm sorry that happened. That really sucks.
Yeah, but obviously it fucking sucks, dude. Mike's hand should be back to his forearm should be back to normal next week. Hopefully, Anthony's gonna continue drinking Dr. Pepper. I actually just bought Dr. Pepper yesterday, dude.
Dr. Pepper is delicious. My favorite soda. I do like root beer, but I like Dr. Pepper the best. And I like Mr. Pibb. Mr. Pibb is good.
How's Mr. Pibb?
You never had Mr. Pibb? It's like loaded with caffeine, though.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
I don't know. Mr. Pibb is good. See, I never heard of it either, and then my English friend made me try it, but now I see it everywhere.
I heard of Joe Cola. Joe Cola had like twice the caffeine.
Never heard of that.
The whole thing of that before I played ball, then I was on fire.
All right, guys, but honestly, let's get out of here. Follow me on Twitter at Usayd Kosher. Follow Mike on Twitter at Mike Trainer MFT. Anthony's on Twitter at Anthony_Roberto. Follow our social media accounts too, guys, at Giants Brawl on Facebook and Twitter, and at Giants.Brawl on Instagram. I'm gonna be posting like tons more content. If you had an issue with anything I said, just DM me at Usayd Kosher. I'll plug my Twitter handle again. Don't worry, you're not going to hurt my feelings. If you have suggestions, like, I don't know, man, slide into Mike's DMs. And for the Giants fans in Brazil, if y'all have ladies, yeah, slide into Mike's DMs, okay?
Or mine.
Yeah, or Anthony's.
My DMs are always open, and I check my DM requests every day, so feel free.
Hey,
So
listen, go at first, and then I'll take sloppy seconds. I don't give a shit.
My guy, appreciate you. And yeah, you know what? Anyone from Brazil, if you need if you want to say something to us, DM me, because I'll get the translations from this one Brazilian girl that I know who knows Portuguese fluently, so I can be my little in with her, so you can help a brother out. So come on, DM me if you need me to translate anything.
Come live with me, Brazilian bitches. Come live with me.
They sure are pretty, man. They sure are.
Oh, my God. All right, guys. Peace out. Obviously, good morning, good evening, good night, whatever. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in this week. I'm especially sorry you had to deal with me, okay?
And let's go Giants.
Peace.